Welcome to Lesson 5. My name is Rolayne Young. I am the teacher of the Native American style flute class. And today on Lesson 5, we are going to talk a little bit about the songs that you worked on. I think it was in Lesson 2 where you played the dice game and invented your own little song with a bunch of random notes. I've got my song here that I did, and they're just random notes. In fact, I haven't even played through it yet to see what it sounds like, but I've just put these little random notes on this piece of paper, and I'm just going to play around with it a little bit to see what it sounds like, but it's definitely not going to sound much like a song. So that's just random notes. I just simply had the scale sitting in front of me, and I just went through those notes, and whatever number came up, I wrote that down as the next note on my song. It didn't turn out too bad. It's not a song though. But what I kind of want to teach is the idea of how to mark your song and tell yourself where you want to put a pause, where you might want to increase the volume, decrease the volume. But you can decide that as you're playing around, but you're not going to remember it every time you play. You're going to forget, where was that I wanted to pause, or where was it I wanted more volume. So we're going to kind of come up with some little markings that will help us with our song. These are really small. I hope that the camera will pick it up. But the one for a pause is a comma. The one for increased volume is double quotation marks together. The one for lowering the volume, I'm reading this from the back of the paper, is a single quotation mark. Pop or a chirp at the end of your song, I've just put the letter P. I've put the letter R for the trill to remind you that it's like the Spanish R. If I want to quickly tap on a hole, I've put just a little triangle on there, and it just reminds me I want to go. So putting that little triangle, that little arrow up, reminds me that right there I want to do a little bit of that kind of thing on it. A pitch bend, if I want to do a pitch bend, I just do one side of the asterisk around quotations. I just do the one. So it just reminds me I want to bend. You can make up your own. If you want to do a flutter, I just put an asterisk up there by flutter. And you'll go into your song and you'll be playing a few notes. I kind of want to hold that. So a good place for a pause is right there. I'm going to put myself a pause right after my third group of notes. That lets me know that I'm going to pause there each time. Again. So I'm just after the second note after that one, I'm going to put another pause. another good place for a pause. And I think going through my song the first time, I might just look for places that I want to pause. And when I've gone all the way through that song, and I've put maybe 4 or 5, 6, 8, 10 places I want to pause, then I can go back and start looking, okay, what kind of an embellishment do I want? Maybe there's a place where I want to throw in a trill. I can just come up here and put a little R and put it by the note that you want to do the trill on. I want to throw in a pause because it kind of gave some emotion there as I played with it. I'm not going to go through this whole song and mark it out because you want to put some thought into it. You might want to play just maybe that first row over and over and over again and think, okay, maybe 3 pauses on that was too much, I'm going to remove one. Or maybe, oh, I think I like one more pause in there. I think I'll keep that. And this one note sounds really cool if I do the trill, or if I want to put a pitch bend right here, and just play with that one line. Get it where you feel like it's kind of sounding like a song. Get some pauses in there so that you're forcing yourself to extend some of those notes. Give some really long, beautiful notes with some really good vibrato in there. That's what I find a lot of people are drawn to when I'm playing my flutes. It's not all those rapid, fast notes that I play necessarily. It's when I pause and I hold that note, and they just get to hear the whole effect of that note with the vibrato and the sound of the flute, whether it's a deep sound or a high sound pitch of the flute. So just play for yourself. You might even try playing those few notes facing the wall so that the wall is shooting that sound back to you, so you kind of get an idea of what you're sounding like when you play it. That's a little trick that we haven't gone over here in the flute class. If you really want to hear what you sound like when you're playing your flute, go stand in the corner where 2 walls meet together and aim your flute to that, and it's going to send that sound back to you, to your ears. And you're going to hear it the way your audience hears it, not the way you usually hear it as a player, because what you hear is a little different than what the audience hears a lot of times. And I also recommend recording yourself. Get your cell phone turned on before you start playing, prop it up somewhere, and play to that cell phone so that you can play it back and you can hear kind of what you sound like, and especially what your song is sounding like. And it gives you some really good feedback, and you can listen to it over again numerous times. And it might even help you remember some little notes that you play, because you'll be able to record your fingering of what you're doing. So you think, I just did this really cool thing. How did I do that? You can go back to your videos and look at those and look at the fingering. So try to, play your flute for the camera so that you can see your fingering. And you can go back and remind yourself of some of the kind of cool little notes that you've played in groupings and things like that. So that's basically all I've got on that part. So now we're going to go into what I call ditties. We call them little ditties. I don't know if the rest of the flute world calls them that, but me and my group of friends, that's what we always call them, were little ditties. A little ditty is just a group of, maybe 4, 5, 6, 8, or 10 notes that you play the same way every time you play that ditty. And you put that in your song in 3, 4 places. That ties your song back together. Instead of it just sounding like a random group of notes that you just keep on playing, you've kind of like come back to a chorus in your song. I'm going to play a little ditty that I throw into songs all the time. It is not in the scale, so don't even try to figure out how to do it unless you've learned to do it. But I'm going to use it because it makes it quite obvious when I repeat it, because you'll get where you recognize it. Now I know that my class in here picked up on my little ditty because you've heard me play that before. How many times, you guys in the class, how many times did I repeat that ditty? No. Any guesses? And it was actually kind of a long repertoire that I play around with because it's an emotion catching. I only did it twice. Let me show you which one it is, but it was but you might be thinking because it kind of drug out and come back, you might be counting it as 5, and that would make you correct. That was my one ditty, and I did that full repertoire twice. My suggestion would be, because for any of you to look at that little group of notes I did and try to repeat it, how many of you think you could do that right now? No, because you're not going to remember those notes. My biggest struggle is remembering what did I do, and trying to repeat it. People would say, well, do this and then do something and then repeat it again. It was like, I don't even know how I started the song. I just started. But I had certain notes as I got more skilled. I had certain notes that I loved playing them together because they created kind of a sense of feeling. They kind of tugged at the emotions a little bit. And so they just kind of developed for me. This one came from accidentally hitting that note once. Because that is not in the pentatonic scale. But one time I was playing around and I'd been playing with a different scale, and then I was back to the pentatonic scale. And without thinking, I was thinking I needed to keep that finger down, and I landed on that. I thought, ooh, I like that. I'm going to keep it. So I call it my accident note. But it turned into a whole repertoire of notes that it just kind of would grab you. It would grab me. It makes you feel something. And I like music that makes me feel something. Some people will say that it's not okay to play with people's emotions, to touch their emotions. There's one flute artist that was out there, he's passed away, but that was what he said. He says, I don't play with people's emotions. I don't go for their feelings kind of things. I'm just the opposite. I want to get the heartstrings. I want to make somebody feel something when they hear that music. We're all different. We all have our own styles. But I would suggest taking your blank paper like this with the tablature on it and play around with a group of 5 or 6 notes together until you come up with something that you think, oh, I kind of like that. Write those notes down. Play it slow. Play the first note, write it down. Play the second note that you were doing, write it down. When you get 5 or 6 notes there, play them together in kind of a quick session to get those in there and see what you think. See how it makes you feel. See if you like what it sounds like. Then start playing a song from the heart and keep referring back to that at least 3 times in your song. At your beginning, in your middle, and at your end, to pull your song together. Because now your song is tied together. It's not just a bunch of random notes. Once I hit that little ditty in there the second time, I tied my song back together. So that's how you can tie your songs together. And sometimes you might play those little ditties at a little different pace, a little different rhythm. Sometimes I don't put all, I don't know, it was 10 or 11 notes in that ditty that I used. Sometimes I only do 5 or 6 of the notes. That time I left out about 4 or 5 notes coming back up. I did repeat those. Something that you can use to get started with a ditty can be your turns, your turn downs, and your turn ups. Do you guys remember the sheet I passed out and I titled them turn ups and turn downs? It's a little group of notes. Let's see if I can do them just off the top of my head. You could throw that into your song. Play a little more and then come back and go, or change it up a little bit and go. You're throwing that same ditty in there, but you're dropping it down to a different level. And so it's not making your song sound like you're repeating the same thing over, except it's brought familiarity into your song and gives you something a little fun, because they're going to go, oh, wait a minute, that was familiar, but that wasn't quite how it sounded before. So it helps you to add a little color to your song. These are the decorating things for your song. These are the things that make them yours, that make them beautiful, that reach out to your audience and pulls them in. You want your audience really paying attention to you when you play. I mean, that doesn't mean that you might not be playing somewhere where a group of people are all just sitting and talking. They're still listening. But when you're playing for an audience who's really paying attention, you want to pull them in with your music. And these little ditties will help you with that and help you tie your song in. So that's our lesson 5. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on lesson 6.